Welcome to the She Builds Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building? Welcome to the She Builds Show. Today, we have the owner of Bjork Construction, which is a multi-generational construction company out of Fremont, California. And I'm so proud to welcome Jean to the show.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been in business for over 33 years now. And my daughter, Jessica Madrigal, she runs a lot of it. My son also works for the company. And he makes sure that materials get to all the sites. And my husband, too, works there part-time sometimes. But yeah, it's a family affair.
Wow, that's incredible. So tell me how this company started. How did it start?
Gosh, that was so long ago. It started in my house, of course, like a lot of businesses do. It was a home-based business. When I met my husband, I was a welder and he was a carpenter.
Really?
And yeah, I decided soon after we got married to go back to college, and I did. And he was working for other companies. And I grew up in a family business. My parents had a welding machine shop. That's how I became a welder because, it makes good money and much better money. Especially, when you go back, 40 years ago, than what I could make as a secretary or what traditional women's type,
roles,
profession would be. Right. So that's what I did. And when I met him, we were both blue collar workers and hard workers, I have to say. So one day he said, my company's making a lot of money off of me, and I think I'd just like to go into business for myself. What do you think? Let's start a business. And, he wasn't much when it came to paperwork or any of that sort of thing. And I was going to college at the time anyway. So we started a business back then, and our first focus was on custom homes because at the time he was doing side work for people that were building large custom homes. So that was what we did. We started building custom homes for people. The big mega mansions back in the 90s, I would call it. It was a real
what's the square foot? What's the square footage on that? Just so I can grasp it. What's a mega mansion square footage?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest one we ever did was 16,000 square feet.
Oh, my word.
I would say your average would be about 6,000 square feet.
Wow. How long does a build like that take?
About a year. Back then, it didn't take as long, it seemed.
Yeah.
We were able to get through things pretty fast. We built some houses, what we call speculation houses where there was no owner involved. So you can make the decisions and get through fast. And we could build like a 5,000 square foot house in 6 months back then.
Wow, that's incredible.
So that's where we started, but that's not what we're doing now.
Right.
Like all businesses, you have to evolve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're a commercial contractor and we're union. So we do commercial work mostly. But yeah, we still do, some residential, especially on houses that we built years ago. We've remodeled quite a few.
Wow. That's incredible being in the business that long. So at that time, you kind of was like husband-wife team. And was your husband the one who had the contractor's license?
Yeah, he did. And he still does. But now, I have a daughter who's been in the business a long time, and she holds our A license, our engineering license, and our painting license, and he holds the B license.
Wow.
Still.
So I feel like next I have to interview your daughter.
Yeah, no, she's wonderful. She's so smart. She grew up in the business. She knows it very well for as young as she is. And she's not that young. It's just that I'm her mom. So I was thinking.
Yeah, I know. There are babies, huh?
So she's got 3 babies of her own.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, what, in terms of like commercial construction, can you explain like types of projects that you're doing? So not so much residential, just for listeners. What do you mean by commercial construction? What types of jobs are you doing now?
Oh gosh, we do all types of jobs. We are a general contractor and we're a carpentry subcontractor, which means we also work for other general contractors besides ourselves. We have a crew of carpenters who do wood carpentry, which is different than metal stud framing. Right now it's private, and in the past we've done government work. It just depends. I have to say, in construction, you have to learn to pivot. We have trends. Right now the trend is very much residential. If you look around every city in the United States, we're building a lot of homes for people.
What are your, currently, what are your day-to-day roles right now? Because it seems like, are you getting closer to retirement and allowing your kids to start taking over? Are you training them, teaching them, or are you still like going to the job sites and running stuff?
Definitely. My role is more administrative at this point. I have, my kids oversee a lot of what's going on, but I still got my finger in it, and I'm working on that, trying to train people, and step back more, definitely.
Did your daughter, I'm just curious, like about children growing up and, their own family businesses, and it sounds like you did as well. I grew up and I worked for my dad. He was an accountant, but I kind of went on my own path and got my own, teaching credential, which has nothing to do with what I do today, except I actually love teaching. And then I kind of found my way back to the business. Did your kids just kind of like immediately start working for you? Was that part of the plan? Did you let them decide? How did that dynamic work?
It's interesting. I think a lot of times we do learn from our parents. I have to say that, my parents were very much, I'll start with my parents. That's where I have to start, right? My parents had a welding machine shop business, and my father, he passed away quite young, and my mom ran it, but she always was the business part. He was the functioning, skill part, and just kind of the same way my husband and I, he was more of just the skill part out on the job, and the business part I ran as well. But yeah, going to my kids, I always told my kids, because I saw how it affected my family growing up, that you should do what you want to do and not feel any pressure from your parents, So my oldest daughter, originally, when she went to college, she wanted to get into, I think she was thinking of being a police officer when she first, left school. And she did about a year of college in law enforcement. And then she came and she said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I decided if I have children, that's going to be really hard. And I watched you and Dad, and you always made it to my games and you made it to stuff. And that's, I would say, the good thing about running a business is you can define your own schedule, but you do work harder than anyone.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you do get to leave. Yeah, I know. I think about it all the time. Well, not all the time, but sometimes it was really hard. It's like, man, it'd be nice to have somebody pay for my health insurance and give me a 401k. And then I go, oh, I'd have to like request vacation. And then I'm like, nah. I couldn't go see the kids or pick them up or all of those things. And it definitely, but yes, I 100% agree that you work harder than anybody else, and work harder than I ever worked when I did work for somebody else.
Right. You end up working weekends, odd hours, stuff that you would never ask your employees to do, but you have to do. But at the same time, you're going to take off at that 4:00 in the afternoon so you can watch your child practice or watch that baseball game, and be there for them.
Absolutely.
So that was what she said. She said, I realized I want children, and I think I want to get into this. And she's done a knockout job, and she went and got her undergraduate degree in construction management. And now she has her master's in construction management, and she has 3 kids, and she has a lot of responsibility. Now I'll go to my son. My son, he was not a person, And we got to recognize this. We need more skilled workers. And he wasn't going to be college bound. And we knew that in high school. He was not going to be college bound. He's not the type to want to study. And there's a lot of people like that. He trained as a carpenter.
Okay.
But now that he works for us, he's not so much in carpentry as material handling and making sure that the jobs have the right materials to get started on them. So he kind of oversees that now, and he likes that part of the job. And that's important as well. We need people with all types of skill levels. There's a big shortage of skilled craftsmen.
Yes, absolutely.
Because everybody told their kids to go to college.
And now we don't have anybody for the older people that want to retire. We don't have anybody to teach the young generation the skill. And I think it's starting though. Like I'm seeing a turn of, especially women entering the trades. And, we have a big passion up here that it's like, hey, we can't ignore half of the population that's available to teach these skills to. So I have one other question with your family. Sounds like everybody, maybe you have other kids. Do you have another kiddo beside?
I have one more that doesn't work for the business.
Okay. So what is the dynamic like? Is it like worth every minute to be able to be with your family? Or is it like going back, this is the hardest thing I've ever done and I wouldn't do it again? I know I worked with my dad for over 10 years. And like the very first thing we did before we even started one day of work was went to counseling, because we were like, this cannot get ruined. This relationship, it's too important. And how they always say, like, don't hire your friends, don't hire your family, because you just can't always see eye to eye. Has it been smooth sailing for the most part?
It's a mixed bag. Like you said, it's a different relationship. So you have to be able to, I guess I saw my parents fight a lot, that they worked together, right? So when we started working together, my husband and I, we said, when you come home, you can't talk about work.
Yeah. Do you guys follow the rule?
Yeah, we follow the rule. And I think because of that, our kids have. But it hasn't always been smooth sailing, because sometimes you're so into your work that it's not easy. And I think it creates jealousies. And also, we don't always agree or on the same page, but we're all A-type personalities.
Yeah, I was going to say those types of relationships, I feel like it actually pushes you to grow more, because those people matter so much to you that you're like, okay, I need to work on my patience. I need to work on not being controlling, and I'm going to put forth my best foot and bite my tongue and listen to their ideas, because, when you're the boss of just a regular company and you have your employees, they kind of don't have the comfort level of telling you that's dumb and I don't like what you're saying, because there's just a distance of respect, where when it's family, it's kind of like those things are off the table and you can say whatever you want, but you really to me with dad, I kind of would have the same conversations as, hey, I just need you to be my dad today. I just need to talk to you. And so we would actually have special lunch dates that we would go out on where it was just about father-daughter time, not about work. And it was that balance got hard, especially when we were super busy, because we ran an accounting practice, and during tax season, it was no nonsense. Conversations were short and it would get stressful. But it definitely I feel relationships, God puts relationships in our world to be a mirror and reflect the things that we need to change. If that makes sense, I really believe that we're meant to be in relationships so that we can better ourselves. And it feels like your situation, it's we don't have any other choice but to be our best and to try, because these relationships matter more than anything. I can't just fire you.
We fight. No, there's fighting. I got to say, with my husband and myself, that was the hardest. With my daughter, we agree on a lot of things. We're very similar. So there's not that. With my son, I'm not really down in the level because he's a material spreader. So that's something I never talk to him about. When I talk to him, he does talk to me about work, but sometimes it's I just listen to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Be his mom.
I just listen to him because it really doesn't see. Sometimes I hear stuff that I want to talk to other people about,
Mm-hmm.
and I do, but I try to do it in a way that's non-confrontational, because
Yeah.
so I probably wouldn't be hearing about those things if it was another employee. But one
Right.
thing I
Right.
got to say about family that is so true is family is you can trust. There's a lot more trust. I trust those people more than I trust other employees. I know that they have the best, intentions at heart and that we're all working towards the same goals.
That's very true. I didn't think about that. When you do have that many people that are coming from the same side of the table, there's not that like underlying where you kind of feel like you have to protect yourself and protect your words and protect what you say and protect the money and protect the financials. Kind of like, okay, we're on the same team and we all know what's going on. Where employees, you kind of have to be a little bit guarded and protected. So I like that point that it's like, yeah, we just really trust each other. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to talk to you
go ahead.
about my last daughter, because you had asked about the kids and I didn't really speak on her. The one that doesn't work, she went to school because she was going to get in marketing. She said she didn't want to be, she's the youngest. She already, and my kids are 5 years apart. So they see this from like a distance.
Right.
So she didn't want to get involved in the whole mess because she says that's all we talk about. So she went into,
yeah, probably true.
She went into marketing and sales. And she said, I'm not going to do construction. But guess what? She sells for Hilti Tools.
Oh, really?
In construction. She had to learn about construction to do her job. So, and, she's very happy at her job. She does very well, but we're all in construction. She doesn't work for us.
Yeah, that's incredible. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing about that.
I just wanted to share that. She thought she could get away.
Yeah, it found her. So I saw that you're part of the Women in Construction Expo. Is that right?
Yeah, the Women in Construction Expo in San Francisco. You know what? We haven't had that since COVID.
Oh,
is that the one you're talking about? Or
well, yeah, it was just, I can, I was reading through kind of some of your background and you guys have done so much and your company is so, well renowned. I just, because I can't ignore the fact that obviously you're a woman running this construction company. Is there a passion or a drive that you want to encourage more women in construction? Did you help start the expo? Like what things, like what beliefs do you have about that? What things have you done to maybe, try to expose more women to the industry?
Yeah, I am passionate about it. I think that so many times we have, and all this gender talk today kind of cracks me up because I think that sometimes we focus too much on what men do, what women do, where I think you are what you were born to be, But at the same time, society tries to limit us, both men and women, to define this is what women do, this is what men do. Fortunately, I grew up in a family where I was not exposed to that so much. My parents never said, oh, your brothers can weld and you can't weld.
I know. I think that's actually incredible, especially, how long ago that was in that time period to be able to teach a woman to do that. Because I was talking to one of my friends the other day and her dad, he runs like a huge cattle ranching company. And I was like, but she doesn't ride and she doesn't rope and she doesn't do all of that stuff. And I was like, why don't you know how to do it? Like, she's like, I wasn't welcome. Like my family didn't believe that women could be on the ranch helping. So my brother learned, but I didn't. I was just like, oh, like what, that's so sad. But I think that's so cool that your family didn't blur or, separate that line for you. The fact that like you learned how to weld and all of those things, especially back, when you grew up, that probably was not normal at all.
Right. Yeah. My parents were never, I grew up in a small town and they never really exposed me to this is what, a little bit like that's just society. However, my sister as well, like all of us learned how to, well, but I also learned how to keep books like the old fashioned way before.
Oh, yeah, with a good ledger.
Because when we helped, we'd do family business after high school. I'd go help my mom. Sometimes it would be in the office. Sometimes I'd be out welding. It just depended on what they needed. So that's where I learned a lot of skills when it came to running a business. I kind of knew what to do because I was exposed to that. When I was younger, they didn't keep us away from you don't do this or you don't do that. Right. And so, yeah, I'm very passionate in construction about women being part of the conversation. It's like the one territory where it's male dominated. I mean, now people are saying, oh, there's 12% of the construction industry is made up of women. It used to be like 9%. So I would say we're making strides lately, but it wasn't for a long time. But I also was a welder for many years. And that, I think, is where my passion grew because I ran into so much opposition when I was young.
Really?
Yeah. I even, was told I got a job based on, taking a test. And I guess I was the highest scorer when it came to the test for getting a job as a welder. They gave me some pieces and they said, make this and then, we'll call you. And then I got it. They said, oh, you scored the highest on our test. You got the job. And then I show up for work. And the guy that owns the company comes out and tells me, I didn't know they hired a woman. I can't let you work here.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that was the sort of stuff we're running into. Now, that's not fair, is it? I mean, nobody would put up that if you'd say that about a race or,
right.
You know what I mean? Or you wouldn't even know their sexual identity or anything, their religion, whatever.
Right.
You could never do that. But people feel like they can do that when it comes to men and women.
Yeah, especially in the industry. Yeah, you're not strong enough. You're not talented enough.
That kind of stuff always,
it probably fueled the fire.
It fueled the fire that has never left me, where I think, I want to make sure that the next generation and help with anybody I can to encourage them to do what they want and to excel at what they want. And that includes women in the construction field. So, yeah, I'm very passionate about it. This year, I am the president of the Women Construction Owners and Executives of California, which is a great organization because it's made up of women who are, either own construction companies or are construction lawyers, people in the industry, construction, all kinds of different things high up in the industry to help each other and to have kind of a sisterhood so we can learn from each other, do business with each other. And also it's a political one where we try to, let our legislators know what's important for the construction industry.
Wow, that's incredible. What is that called again?
The Women Construction Owners and Executives, the WCOE. And it's a national organization.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard of that before.
It's a national organization that's been around for the last, I think, 50 years or something. It's been around a long time. I didn't know there was so many women organizations in construction until probably the last 15 years.
There are quite a few, and they've been around for a long time. I think it's just it hasn't been growing. I think they've been established, but it hasn't been growing and getting new members. So you're the president this year, huh?
Yeah, we're working on trying to get new membership and help each other because the most phenomenal women belong to that organization.
Right? Isn't it? When you meet people like that, you're just like, oh, these are my people. I found them.
Right. No, it's true. These are my people. I can talk to them about, what's going on with your insurance, all the stuff you deal with on a day-to-day basis,
insurance.
Who else you going to talk to about it?
Such a terrible topic, insurance. My poor husband just had like an insurance thing come up today. I don't know. It's frustrating, especially in California with all the fires and all of that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that.
What do you think is the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part of my job is when we get slow and we have to lay people off. That's the hardest.
What do you think is the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is when I see us grow and how successful we've become over the years and the making, it's about the people that work for us and my family, it's all of us, the team. I like working with the team. I like it when we're successful on projects and also too, just seeing the projects when they're completed is a level of satisfaction that's very tangible. And it feels good. Like I built that.
Right.
I didn't really build it with my hands, but
yeah, I was a part of it. Everybody built it. That's what I love about it is like it's such a communal effort, and there's nobody that just gets to say like I did all of that thing myself. Like we all did it, and we all built it, and we all had like if it weren't for everybody, it wouldn't have happened. I think that that's what's so wonderful about it is like there's such a community around it.
Sometimes I think I look at things that not just we build, but other people build, and I know what goes into them, and it's just phenomenal. All the pieces and parts, and
right. It's like such a big, like massive million-piece puzzle is kind of what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, it really does. And the planning is the most important part of construction in the whole process, because without good planning, it just doesn't go as smooth.
So I'm curious how big your company is. Like, how many employees do you guys have?
Right now, we're kind of a little bit slower than we've been, but last year, I think altogether we had about 98.
Yeah, I was going to say, you feel like you got a big
time, probably 60.
Okay, that's incredible. So you have both office staff and obviously you're running your crews and all of that.
We have carpenters and lots of different people that make the whole thing go around.
Wow, that's incredible to just start. It gives me like hope that, because sometimes it's so hard to grow and to add employees and to add the responsibility and to, I take them on as family. And just like you said, I think when I was doing flips and stuff, I would just buy properties that I knew I wasn't going to make a ton of money on just to make sure that my guys were okay, that like I could keep the crews busy. And so it's like, it's such a give and take of like, okay, yes, we need to grow and we need more people, but then it's more responsibility and more pressure and all of that. Do you ever like regret growing that big, or are you like, this is where we're comfortable and this is what we love to do and these people are our family and I feel good about it?
No, I feel good about it growing, and I wouldn't mind it growing larger, but commercial's down right now. We're doing some pivoting at this time too. You always have to grow and change.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't regret it at all, getting larger. I think it's good to employ more people and keep, people's families together. And making money is really important, especially right now. We have so many people that are, with the prices going up of gas, food, everything. It's just it's keeping people employed is a really important thing. And I got to say, that's one thing that I really appreciated the government doing during COVID is focusing on keeping people employed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important.
Rather than give it to the banks.
Yes. Okay, one last question. Are you a reader? Do you like to read books?
You know what? I used to be a big reader, and I listen to audiobooks now when I travel.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That counts. I
travel a lot, but mostly for pleasure.
Well, that's good. And you just read a great book lately that you were like, oh, you would love this book? I don't care if it's business or not. I'm just wondering if you've read a good book or listened to a good book.
Yeah. When the Cage Bird Sings is one that I just listened to recently. That was a good one. It's more of a book for pleasure, but it's a little bit about, history. I think I like history a lot. I just finishing The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. That's about World War II in France. I like period books. I like learning about history.
That's awesome. I do too. I think I don't know why I'm drawn to like strong women in history, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, I pick up a biography or something like that about, like women have been doing incredible things for, a very long time. And sometimes we just kind of get disconnected to that history or disconnected to the time period. And when we're kids, we just really don't care because there's just not like, it's so hard to connect. And then I think as we get older, it feels like, oh, that's actually really interesting. And you can learn a lot from what they've been through because they probably already learned and have so much knowledge to pass on. So I definitely am there with you.
Yeah. Educated's another really good one. And it's not about history. It's just about, family dynamics. Those are always interesting.
I love that. Educated, is that what you said?
Educated, yes.
Okay, I'll check that out.
It's an autobiographical book.
Okay. Well, Jean, this has been such a pleasure, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you and just hear about your family and the incredible business that you and your family have built, and all of the people that you employ and support, and the mission, that you just kind of serve to encourage other women to enter the construction field. And I just want to thank you for your time. Could you just tell people maybe where you're located, and if they're looking for somebody to hire, can you just let the people know where they can find you?
You can find us. You can look up our website, which is bjorkconstruction.com. Very easy to find. We're a general contractor. We also do, like I said, wood carpentry. We're really well known for our hardscapes, which, commercial hardscapes, benches, trellises, because we do the beautiful woods. There's so many gorgeous woods out there. And so right now, making outdoor spaces beautiful, especially in commercial settings.
Oh, that sounds incredible. I know I was kind of oohing and eyeing over your website and your work and all the things that you guys have done. It's just incredible and something to absolutely look up to. And you've built something so beautiful. And the fact that you get to pass it on to your children and that it continues on for another generation and hopefully beyond that is just really something you should be very proud of.
Thank you, Stefanie. I appreciate it.
You're
and
welcome.
I got to do a shout out to all of the phenomenal employees that we have. We have wonderful people that do excellent work.
Yes, absolutely. That's the best part of the business. All right, Jean, thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me today on the She Build Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Build swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.